Humanity has never lived through an age of greater deception than we are presently in. The gulf between what is commonly held as the consensus model of reality by the vast majority of humans and the truth of existence has never been as wide or as deep as it is now. How has it come to this? Because the very faculties possessed by the human being which should be useful for discerning reality from illusion have been hijacked by an as yet unseen force to become the very mechanism by which we are blinded in so many instances to truth. Indeed, truth itself is now a word often associated with conspiracy theory. If we want to feel certain of the concepts we are considering, then we much prefer words such as facts, evidence, and knowledge. These feel safe to us as a firm footing from which to build our understanding of reality. These ideas are limiting, however, in the fact that all assume the primacy of the material world. By comparison, truth seems more like the stuff of belief or feeling, a product of heart-centered rather than brain-centered knowing. Although there is a time and place for emotional themes in modern society, it most certainly takes a back seat to more mental stuff, and in the most publicly visible forums, the expression of emotion is usually confined to frivolous and somewhat inconsequential matters. The downside of the brain-centered way of thinking, and more specifically the left-brained way of thinking, is that it is heavily reliant not on personal experience, but on remembering and repeating abstract concepts taken verbatim from external sources. This has the dual effect of creating a population which imagines itself far too well informed to be deceived, but in actual fact has a pre-programmed susceptibility to manipulation in the form of news media, entertainment, so-called scientific and historical documentaries, and politics, among others. You cannot form any sort of defence against these subversive influences unless you are prepared to take a more synergistic approach in your thinking, that is, learning to use your logical and creative powers in tandem. To truly free oneself from the manipulation would be to completely remove from your conscious awareness the aforementioned influences, and this can only succeed with a personal desire which wells up from within your being, strong enough to sustain the lengthy process of extricating your consciousness from the groupthink which pervades mainstream society. In simplest terms, a fish has no concept of water until it has at least once been removed from that water. You simply cannot win any debate about the physical nature of reality with a non-left-brained approach. That's not how it works. People have tried and they always end up looking ridiculous. In the interest of balance, people who try to win the globe versus flat debate with a left-brained approach by simply repeating the same tired and often misinformed axiomatic proofs of the globe they so fervently believe in, also seem quite ridiculous to those of us who have laid aside our preconceptions and actually spent some time on the subject, regardless of our standpoint on the ultimate question. The fact of the matter is that we're not trying to argue about whether something is empirically a certain way or not here. We're trying to transcend the limitations of our perception of the earth realm and physical reality entirely. But why bother? Why not just play your role in society and let smarter people figure these things out on our behalf? Something monumental is taking place at this time. The old way of trusting authority, blindly following expert advice, relying on tried and tested and wholly outdated methods, is resoundingly on the way out. It is being replaced with decentralised, organic, grassroots alternatives which do not ask for or require permission to exist. Intuition is replacing ignorance. The old way of doing things does not have within it the capacity for bowing out gracefully. Instead, it feigns to mirror humanity's evolving values in an effort to remain relevant, and as it begins to decay from the inside out, it tightens its grip on everything it has built and achieved. I did all of this for you, do you not see? But this age is over now. Time to wake up from the old dream to a new one. Time to ask the big questions. Those who understand will know what I mean by this. Letting smarter people figure it out on our behalf has yielded significant advances in the human race's capability, no doubt. But in other ways it has shackled us to the limitations of materialist thinking. To continually surrender one's personal drive to challenge the nature of our shared physical illusion is tantamount to waiving one's own divine right to co-create reality in favour of comfortable conformity. So why would anyone wish to lie about the shape of Earth? Why would every religion lie about the existence and nature of God? The globe, space, atheist religion, if I can call it that, has been assembled and maintained by the successors of the people who assembled and who maintain all the Abrahamic religions for the exact same purpose: to guard and conceal the true nature of existence and of the forces that govern it. To see through such a monumental illusion, you have to be out of the box so far as to seem crazy to those still plugged in, so to speak. Hard to believe, but the secular atheist science cult may well have always been the long-term goal. If you're trying to hide the idea that the Earth is the jewel in the crown of creation and is unique in every way, you are by default also trying to hide the existence of some sort of creator consciousness. But doesn't religion proclaim the existence of God? Organised religion obfuscates the simple and self-evident truth of God's existence through symbolism, ritual, dogma, and stone temples taking the place of nature. People's unwillingness and often near universal inability to challenge what we were taught in school, and by Hollywood, is evidence that the plan is working well. The problem is, and I know this has absolutely been the case with myself, you lose so much credibility among your peers if your escape route from absolute unwavering belief in the physical paradigm involves questioning the ultimate properties of Earth. If I just stuck with meditation or gotten into yoga, travelled in Asia and got some freaky tattoos perhaps, a lot more people would take me seriously. But because I joined many others daring to call out the Emperor on his nudity, now I must be mentally ill or just a gullible fool following some conspiracy trend. My honest belief is that whatever unseen force I've been connected with is an inevitable wave sweeping across this entire plane of existence, and it will come to us all in time. Whether or not it will reach you in this incarnation is unknown, but time is getting short and more people are waking up, as it were, all the time. I have every hope that a lot of those I left behind once this new knowledge began flowing into me will soon be coming out of the woodwork to say they too have learned to see life through different eyes, regardless of whether or not their new reality looks anything like my own. The one thing we will all be able to agree upon eventually is that the old conceptual model of reality is no longer applicable. It has become a barrier to our collective progression as a species. It is all about hoarding knowledge. When you know the truth about this realm, about the origins of the universe, about even the underlying nature of consciousness, and you have the masses believing a collection of fairy tales. Watch Brian Cox talking on the BBC about the origins of the universe to see what I mean by fairy tales. You are able to exert undue influence on the overall direction of human civilization. The barriers facing the human race are not what they seem. We're effectively being kept from the truth of the nature of reality and our connection to the divine. Every seemingly insurmountable barrier currently faced by the human race, which we are straining to overcome with vast investment of energy and resources, will melt away with the application of ever-expanding levels of consciousness as we begin to reclaim our divine birthright. Those who have long been at the top of the pyramid are in no hurry to see this revolution go mainstream, despite knowing its inevitability. They are digging their heels in, hence the insane levels of deception currently evident in all authoritarian and establishment aspects of human civilization, from government to education, the court system to the press, and on and on. the Earth isn't a globe, why then isn't there any sort of workable alternative model? I've lost count of the number of times I've had someone demand of me a fully working flat Earth model that explains all observable phenomena. I don't have one, sorry. Just like Copernicus didn't have a fully working heliocentric model back in 1543, when he wrote his Revolutions of the Heavenly Spheres. He had a theory and some extremely basic diagrams, and then his successors spent almost 500 years to bring us to our present day understanding, during which time they tweaked and refined his basic assertions, adding axial tilt to account for the seasons, axial wobble to account for precession, and constantly revising upwards the assumed distance to the sun and stars, to mention but a few of the adjustments necessary to fit the model to observable reality. That has to stand out in any honest appraisal of the topic at hand. The model came first, contrary to all observable phenomena. The supporting scientific theory came very much later. And the one major thing they never accounted for, and still cannot, is why this place seems flat, fixed, motionless, and at the centre of the known universe, when the assertion of mainstream science is of course that all of those things are merely illusions. In my experience, the basic error the vast majority of globe defenders make is the assumption that I must believe in the proposed flat model as rigidly as they believe in the good old-fashioned globe. This is really not the case with myself, or the vast majority of flat earthers. In fact, it would be more accurate, more honest, to call these people globe doubters or globe questioners. And seeing as we're asking many more questions than just, why do we believe this place is a globe? Perhaps paradigm questioners might be more fitting. We did not stop believing in a ball, which is not our experience of reality, only to then just begin believing in a new thing, the flat earth. This is a big aha moment when you get it, and quite often I find this is the moment when the mob lay down their pitchforks and quietly admit that yes, they can see that the earth does appear at least to be flat, level and stationary, with everything in the heavens rotating about above our heads. They then go on to mention flight paths, of course, or the ISS, and we're usually back to square one. The horizon has been demonstrated to be flat by cameras carried by balloons and amateur rockets to ridiculously high altitudes. Here is a video of an amateur two-stage rocket launch to 244,000 feet, or 46.2 miles. Compare this footage to my breakdown of the Red Bull jump in my previous video on the subject of flat earth, which I will link in the description box with the relevant timestamp to take you straight to that section of the video. And you will see that the curvature shown here is demonstrably the result of using a curved lens, such as a GoPro. I find that you can go either way depending on what sort of information one consumes on the topic. I do challenge myself to watch the pre-CGI NASA stuff sometimes, and I have found some brilliantly simple theoretical proofs of the globe right here on YouTube, like this modern update of Eratosthenes' sticks in the sand experiment conducted by another YouTuber, Slice Barcane, and a number of his subscribers situated across the world. But then I look at the question another way, and it's so easy to see how it's just a big con trick. For example, this devastatingly simple thought experiment provided by globe questioner Karen B, which blows out of the water the idea that centrifugal force generated by the Earth's spin is providing an equal and opposite force to the Earth's gravity in line with Newtonian law. Flat Earth would have died a death by now if it was just some dumb meme, but it hasn't, because it isn't. Reality is coming apart at the seams, and those of us with the eyes to see it have got front row seats. What have you read or watched about quantum physics? Do you have a hard time accepting that matter is never inert at the subatomic level? That it is not even obeying the same laws of physics that we know and love on a human scale? Why would we assume something so big as to defy comprehension would be so compliant with said laws of physics, when it is so widely understood and accepted nowadays, even amongst laypersons, that things so small as to defy comprehension are not? The trick that has been played on us all is that to question the globe almost immediately implies that one believes in a flat version of the globe, which is a huge leap in logic, by the way. We may not live on an 8,000 mile diameter spinning globe, but the Earth isn't a flat version of the globe either. Flat Earth is a psyop in that sense. A plant to distract honest truth seekers from what they are really not meant to see. Basically, the sheep who leave the pen by even daring to ask the question find such a bizarre and unthinkable answer, that is, a flat circular disc surrounded by an ice wall with a dome over the top, they turn right back around and continue believing in the equally insane but much more comfortable globe model. Also critical is letting go of the insane notion we've been given that you cannot question a belief, in this case that we live on a globe, unless you have a fully working alternative already lined up. This planet is unique. It is the only one known to have liquid water, the only one with a breathable atmosphere, the only one with life. According to present knowledge, these are unquestionable facts we can all agree on, not theory. Why would it be so surprising to learn that it's a different shape to all the others when it has literally nothing else in common with them? In conclusion, if they're trying to hide it, by default there must be something to hide. Once you spend any amount of time seeking truth, seeking God, seeking your true self in any capacity, you will be let into a secret hidden world which is yours and yours alone. Your experience of this state of awareness is as real as your experience of waking up in the morning, having breakfast, going to work, etc., etc. Only you cannot describe it directly to anyone else. If you are seeking these things, they are seeking you. The trick is to stop thinking about and to start feeling your way through life.